Hello, good evening. You are welcome to this broadcast of News Tonight here on GHOne TV with me, Tutuwaa Danso. Let's see the stories making the headlines this hour. Coming up, traders at CMB bemoan delays in the collection of garbage gathered in median of Main Road. Also ahead, motorists unhappy with slow pace of work on the Obechebi-Lamte interchange. And later in this broadcast, new patriotic party flag bearer Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia promises to pay living wages to chiefs if elected president.
To be able to get the chieftaincy institution to really play its proper role, financially, the institution needs to be resourced. Them responsibility without resources.
And in business, locked up investment fund holders vow to continue weekly picketing at Finance Ministry over what they say is deceit from Deputy Minister. There are details of these and other stories coming up shortly. Stay with us. Thank you for choosing us this evening. We start off with a rather unfortunate development as news coming in says several wooden structures at Odona near the Kwame Nkrumah Circle is in fire. While the cause of the fire is not yet known, but let's cross over to the area where our reporter Peter Kwao Adato is currently for more details on the incident. Peter, thank you so much for joining us. Now, where are you exactly and what can you report?
Okay, thank you, Vanessa. The fire is at the Circle Railway. The area, they call it Ekomok. There's so many names they have been given, but it's around Ekomok, where the fire started around the new STC bus terminal, close to VIP, along the railway. They are stretched deep into the area. Fire service is there, but the difficulty they faced was that there's no access for them to come to where the fire was spreading to. So they have to park their vehicle, fire tenders behind where the fire started and have to be joining hoses to get to the area. And that has allowed the fire to spread so much to a very deep area. All the structures here, this area is littered with wooden structures all along the railway line. The entire area under the high tension pole in this area has been consumed with fire. Fire service is trying their best, but it is not yet able to reduce the intensity of the fire as at the moment. But a lot of people here, this is a protest area where some people call it a show area, where people are, a lot of people are in this area. And it's not an easy thing to see at the moment here at the Circle Ekomok. Fire is spreading as fast as possible, and the fire service is also doing their best. And there's tension among the people here because they feel that the fire service is not doing too well to reduce the fire, but they are also doing their best. And at the moment, it is still spreading, and the fire service is also doing well to ensure that they reduce the fire as
right.
best that they could.
Peter, we have a clear picture of what is happening at the moment, but do we know the cause of the fire?
The cause of the fire could not be determined, but the only thing the fire started around 5 p.m. where a lady shouted from one of the structures, came out and set the fire, and then that was the issue they hear. There were a lot of explosion also because there are gas and other things. So there were a lot of explosions. As soon as the explosion happened, fire spread so much to other areas. But the real cause of the fire at the moment, nobody can tell. But it is believed that it started from one of the structures, and they don't know exactly what was the cause, whether it's the gas, whether it's somebody is cooking, whether it's electrical. Nobody can tell at the moment.
Okay, but Peter, do we know if any casualties have occurred at the moment?
No casualty, no injury. As I've been checking around, I've not heard anything about any injury to any salvage some things out of the place before the fire actually got to their end. But at the moment, fire service was able to add on more hoses, so they were able to get the end of the fire. So which hopefully that by the time they fix those hoses, they will be able to contain the fire within that limit and eventually bring it under control.
Right, Peter, thank you so much for those updates. My colleague Peter Kawadata there with that update. Now, away from that, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has announced a major initiative to digitize school lands administration if voted into office as the President of Ghana. Well, the initiative, according to the Vice President, aims to streamline processes, double sale, and enhance transparency in land dealings. Well, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia made the announcement during an engagement with the clergy and Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs as part of the campaign tour of the Greater Accra region. Abdul Hanan Adam has the details.
The Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, on Tuesday began a tour of the Greater Accra region as part of his campaign, meeting key stakeholders in society to share his vision and solicit support. His first meeting was the clergy. The flag bearer of the governing NPP in his address called for a closer partnership with the church and faith-based organizations as foremost partners in development. Once again, the Vice President used the opportunity to reaffirm his stance against the influence of external powers for the legalization of the activities of LGBTQ+ in Ghana.
Look at the number of schools the church builds. Look at the number of hospitals. Look at the number of universities. If you took all of these schools, hospitals out of our Ghanaian country, took them all out, we will collapse. That is the nature of, that is the reality. So when you are looking at your development partners and you say that, oh, these are foreign development partners, so when they come to build something, you give them tax exemptions. But when the church goes to build the same thing, they have to pay import duty. I say this is wrong. Then the issue of LGBTQ+, I don't know what they add. They can add anything. We will not accept it. We will never accept it. Our religion says no. Our culture says no. Our values say no. So it's no, no, and no.
After a brief encounter with leaders of the Zongo community, Dr. Bawumia proceeded to engage members of the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs at Tutuwaa in the Shai Osudoko municipality. Here, the Vice President announced to the House his plan to digitize these two lands to avert dispute and to bring significant benefits to landowners, buyers, and the broader economy.
Another major area that in the area of chieftaincy that I want us to deal with is land. Land digitalization is very, very important. That we want to make sure that the ownership of the lands is clear. Because again, without clarity of the ownership, you have confusion. And that is the bane of the problem. That we should clarify, map, and all of that so that it's clear, so that you can know that if you go here and this is the land, this tool has the land, and this is the place you have to go for title.
However, the acting president of the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs, King Professor Ni Welenchi IV, in his address raised concerns about the neglect of the traditional authority in governance by successive governments despite the acquisition of lands from the Gadangme people for nation building.
Having its indigenes called Gadangwes. Most of our lands has been acquired by government for various purposes. These are all planted on our lands. The castle, the Jubilee House, the Parliament House, Ghana Ports and Harbour Authority, Meridian Port Services, various courts up to Supreme Court, all headquarters of our security services, various ministries, Bank of Ghana, Tutuwaa International Airport, the only international airport in Ghana, and many more. In return, what has Greater Accra benefited? Think about this. The members of the House and the good people of the entire region will be much appreciated if whatever you think befits the capital region will be put in your manifesto. Submit it to the regional house for our comments before election.
But the vice president in his response had this to say.
Greater Accra, it's a special case actually, when you think about it. Because as the acting president has said, the capital city, gateway, to this country, the seat of government, there is a problem because hosting the capital city has costs for the people of the Ghana state. It has costs for the people of the Ghana state because everybody is coming here, isn't it? The demand for land is higher than anywhere else, isn't it? So we have to look at it as a special case.
The campaign team, including the national executive of the NPP, government officials and volunteer groups, later engaged electorate at Achimota and the La Paz market in the Okaikwe North constituency to connect with the voters and share with them the message of possibilities.
Well, let's stay further on this development because, as I mentioned earlier, the Vice President is on his Greater Accra regional tour, and my colleague Obed Kinga, has been following his campaign to know the very latest with him. Obed, thank you so much for joining us. Where are you at the moment, and what has been happening? What's the latest?
Thank you very much, Vanessa.
I'm asking you where you are at the moment, and what is the latest from the camp of the Vice President?
Right, so currently the Vice President has been touring the Greater Accra region, as you know, and today it is talked to Tema, Ashaiman, and some parts of the capital. Currently, we are at the Danso here in the Tutuwaa constituency, where it's engaging what they call the this. But some of the things that the Vice President has to speak to include the polarization agenda of the NPP government. And one of the revelations we make today is that when he voted in government as president of the country, is going to use the Ghana card being used to apply for the passport because of the various processes that we go through when they are applying for passports. But away from that, some of the issues that were here this evening, Tutuwaa was named as the head of the manifesting committee in charge of youth and people development. Also, Guru was spotted here as part of the campaign team. Other members of the New Patriotic Party are also here, including the MP for the parliamentary candidate, I beg your pardon, for the Tutuwaa constituency, and also the parliamentary candidate and also MP for the LRC West Foreign, Madam Lydia Hassan, and also Social Minister and reporting, among other forwards of the New Patriotic Party. The Vice President is kindly speaking in the hall, addressing the youth and touting the achievements of the NPP government.
Obed, thank you so much for those updates there. My colleague Obed, with that update, will bring you subsequent details about his campaign from the Greater Accra region. Away from that, construction of a house of God ordinarily will draw little or no controversies at all, given how religious Ghanaians are. But the story of the National Cathedral is different. The project seems to pick up the top spot for the most controversial projects in Ghana. The project seems to pick up the top spots for most controversial projects in Ghana. Now, months to national elections, the project has become a touching part of the campaign trail, where different citizenry are keen on the take of the flag bearer of the two main opposition parties or political parties. So what have Mahama and Bawumia been saying regarding this project? Let's take a listen.
I am firm in my view that by the grace of God, and through Christ who strengthens me and my government, National Cathedral will be built to the glory and honor of God. Amen.
If there is any project that hits Ghanaians emotionally, the National Cathedral has to be it. The argument of spirituality and income generation has become the selling point by proponents, while opponents argue misplaced priorities and multiple breaches in procedure. Flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has questioned the justification, such as children lacking desks will only incur the wrath of God.
Actually, we found that the Minister of Finance was releasing public taxes, and our taxes are paid by not only Christians, they are paid by Muslims. And so we can't use public funds, including the fund of people of other denominations, to build a cathedral for Christians alone. And you have to ask yourself, is it justified in this day and age when children do not have desks in schools? When children do not have textbooks? For 5 years, we've not provided our basic school children with textbooks, even though we've come out with a new curriculum because we say there's no money.
But the New Patriotic Party thinks otherwise regarding the God factor. Flag bearer of the party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, in the Assembly of Clergymen, solicited support for the completion of the project.
I have contributed to its construction personally. I believe it's a very important thing for Ghana. But I think that as it stands now, the church has to come together and government and let us sit down and talk about the way forward for the National Cathedral. The church should come together and let us know the best way forward, how we can even get private resources to help us to complete the cathedral.
Either ways, the board of the National Cathedral is looking beyond political governments with optimism that the project will be successful even after President Akufo-Addo leaves the scene into retirement.
When they assume power, they can't put an end to the project because the project is under a board. It is under a company limited by guarantee, a properly set up company limited by guarantee. It is not a government project. So you can't come and say that this is a government project and I don't want it.
You're still watching news tonight here on GHOne Television. Let's do insights now. On Inside this evening, street traders and commuters along the Swansea Shopping Arcade, Cocoa Board and CMB are calling on the local assemblies and Zoom Lion to be responsive to their responsibilities in tidying the area, while the traders were reacting to heaps of refuse left in the median of the road for days, posing environmental and health hazards to them. Peter Kawadato was there and filed his reports.
The commitment I want to make is a commitment I want all of us to make, that within these 4 years, by the end of the 4 years of my term in office as president, Accra will be the cleanest city in Africa. That is where we want to get to.
That infamous announcement was to be the omen for Ghana's capital, Accra, a city fighting to liberate itself from filth and pollution. President Akufo-Addo was earlier installed by the Gamashi Traditional Council with the stool name Ni Kweku Ablade Okojiaman I.
I'm grateful for the title and I'm grateful for the honor. I am going to do everything within my power to be the measure of the titles that you have given me this afternoon and dedicate my life, like it has already been, to the welfare of the Ghanaian people, to the welfare of the people of Accra.
Expectantly, Accra was to challenge for the cleanest city in Africa in just 4 years.
That by the end of the 4 years of Akufo-Addo's presidency, Accra will be the cleanest city in the entire African continent.
A year later, President Akufo-Addo, aka Ni Kweku Ablade Okojiaman I, reaffirmed his commitment to make Accra the cleanest city in his second State of the Nation address to Parliament.
Last year, I reiterated before you my pledge of improving sanitation in the country and making Accra the cleanest city in Africa by the end of my term. I said by the end of my term.
In a bid to actualize his vision, President Akufo-Addo decoupled the water resources from the then Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing to form the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources with a minister and 2 deputies. But nearly 8 years on, the cries of the bustling city of Accra for a solution to its filthy environment are louder than it was when the acclaimed Cleanest City Declaration was made. Gutters remained choked as street corners and open spaces were littered with waste daily, inducing flooding anytime it rained. The less said about the business district and market, the better. Waste is abundant on the median of roads, particularly the Kwame Nkrumah Circle and the Kojo Thompson Road through to the Makolab Enclave. This reporter came across heaps of waste deposits in the median of the Kojo Thompson Road between the Swansea Shopping Arcade and the CMB Junction Tuesday morning. Both traders and commuters who spoke on anonymity for perceived state persecution and physical attacks by junk told us that the waste has been there since Friday, May 31. They claimed it sometimes takes more than a week before the Zoomlion contractors come to clean the mess. The abundant waste could be sighted all around the Tema station near the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. This situation, the traders feared, could lead to an outbreak of communicable diseases, especially as the rains begin to intensify. They want the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, Clotte Colley Assembly, and Zoomlion to be responsive to their mandate to the city of Accra by lifting all waste promptly to avert any unforeseen consequences. Peter Kwao Adator's report for GHOne News.
Now, farmers in Talensi, Kasena Nankana, Boku West and other communities in Ghana's northern savannah have transitioned from traditional bush burning practices to farmer-managed natural regeneration techniques. This initiative, led by World Vision Ghana, in partnership with other organizations, promotes sustainable land management and environmental restoration. As Ghana joins the rest of the world to commemorate World Environment Day, highlights how farmers are employing new techniques for the restoration of the environment with support from World Vision Ghana.
Farmer-managed natural regeneration project by the World Vision Ghana uses techniques that empower farmers to regenerate trees and shrubs on their land through effective pruning, coppicing, that is, replanting branches to become shrubs, and avoiding cutting down trees for charcoal production. To further support these efforts, World Vision Ghana has also introduced enhanced traditional stoves that reduce reliance on firewood, trained community members as firefighters, and established lead farmer programs to promote knowledge sharing. The initiative extends beyond environmental restoration. World Vision Ghana, along with its partners, has provided livestock to families as an alternative livelihood source, established savings groups to foster financial resilience, and distributed seedlings for farmers to cultivate and sell. This collaborative effort empowers communities to embrace sustainable practices, improve their livelihoods, and protect the environment.
Now, Ghanaians have been urged to take responsibility for protecting the environment through regular cleanup and proper waste disposal. Speaking during a cleanup exercise to mark World Environment Day of Zoomlion Ghana Limited, Managing Director Gloria Opoku-Anti called for the enforcement of environmental laws and regulations to deter individuals and organizations from engaging in practices considered harmful to the environment.
World Environment Day is observed globally to raise awareness and promote sustainable environmental practices. As part of the celebration of the World Environment Day, Zoomlion Ghana Limited embarked on a cleanup exercise in some parts of Accra and also planted some trees to support the upcoming Green Ghana Day. Speaking during the exercise, Managing Director of the Waste Management Company, Gloria Opoku-Anti, demanded strict enforcement of environmental laws to dissuade people from destroying the environment.
enforcement of bylaws that pertains to environment and sanitation. We have them all. But the question is, why will people come in this circle and litter around and go scot-free? It's because there's no enforcement of the laws. So this is also a call for the various MMDAs and the other sector players to come on board to ensure and support Zoom Lion in a way of enforcing the various laws that we have.
Gloria Opoku Anti also urged citizens to take responsibility of protecting the environment and also avoid indiscriminate disposal of waste.
Pollution, as we all know, is caused by us, humans. So today, as we are commemorating the World Environment Day, I believe that it is a call for each and every one of us as citizens of Ghana to contribute our quota. So in this cleanup, you see that we are getting rid of all the wastes that also serve as pollutants to our environment.
This year's World Environment Day celebration is themed Land Restoration, Desertification and Drought Resilience.
Let's stay further on this development, and we've been joined by Nana Boache Chumesi Ankra, who is a project coordinator for Troppenbos. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Great. Now, this World Environment Day has been observed annually for the past few years. This year, we are focusing on protecting the forest reserves. Now, as a country, have we done enough to protect our forest reserves?
In my personal candid view, I think that much is being done in terms of protecting our forest reserve, but I think that we need to do more. And actually, what we are doing that is really much is not well enough or is not good enough. Because you and I bear witness to the fact that in recent times and in recent years, actually, there has been a public outcry on the kind of things happening in our reserved areas, our forest reserves, including illegal logging, galamsey, as we call it locally, that is illegal mining. That is really causing a lot of devastation in our forest reserves. So I would say that yes, some efforts are being put in terms of protecting our forest reserve or conserving them, but in fact, there is more to be done, and the kind of work we are putting in is not really enough if we want to keep the forest for posterity.
All right. So as you know, the theme for this year is land restoration, desertification, and drought resilience. As an organization, what do you know about the drought conditions in the country? And what are your future projections coming?
Okay, so I will not say that practically in terms of the scientific data collection in that we are on top of situation, but then we have been dealing with local communities and we know the kind of experiences they share with us. Some of them are having difficulties in terms of planting their crops annually because, you know, when we talk of climate change and all those things, people might think that it is about not raining. But it is not exactly so always. So it is about erratic conditions of weather showing themselves. So when they expect the rains to fall, the rains don't come. And when they expect dryness to come so that they can harvest maize and all that, the dryness don't come because of the changes in climate over time. And so this is the situation that we are facing. It is not all about having dryness throughout the year or having rains throughout. But then when it is even expected, you will not have it. And that affects our living situation, the conditions that we have ourselves in. And we know that Ghana is an agricultural country and that most people, especially in rural Ghana, are engaged in farming. And so in this situation, it is really alarming and affecting crop production. As we speak now, food prices are soaring high, and it's all because food production is low. And we can attribute much to the changing climate that we have in the country as of now.
Right. Now, with regards to all of these issues that you have raised, do you assess that GMO will be the ultimate solution?
I vehemently oppose to that because, you see, why GMO? There are varieties that can actually resist these conditions. And why do we even have to wait for things to be bad so that we find genetically modified entities or organisms to solve the problem? First, I will not even go for that. I will first talk about the fact the need to restore the degrading environment so that we don't need to even go that direction. And gladly enough, nature is such that we have the opportunity to reverse some of these situations. And that is why we talk of climate mitigation. So the forest that we have degraded, there is the opportunity for us to bring it back. The rivers that we have destroyed by these galamsey activities, there is opportunity for us to restore them to sanity or to cleanliness. And so I think that we shouldn't even be thinking that line. Also, if we are talking about in the short term, solving the situation, I believe that scientists over the years within Ghana have come out with varieties which are not GMOs, which withstand most of these conditions. And so we can go that line, because the problem with GMOs is the fact that the farmers may now have to spend a lot of money getting planting materials, even though in our traditional setting or in the way we do things, farmers are able to preserve some of the seeds that they harvest in 1 year and keep for the following season. But this time, because the patent will be for other entities, it will be illegal for the farmer to make use of that. And so I think that it is a complex situation that in our current situation that we don't have only commercial farmers, but we have peasant farmers, we have the smallholders. We will be destroying ourselves if we go that line.
All right. Thank you so much for those inputs there. Nana Boachi Chumesi Ankra is a projects coordinator for Chop and Boss. That wraps up Inside. But remember that Inside is proudly in association with Pepsodent, and Pepsodent says every single smile matters. We are back after this break. Don't go away. Welcome back from the break. This is still News Tonight, and I am Tutuwaa Danso. Let's do some more local stories this evening. And amidst the rains, motorists who ply the Obechebi-Lamte interchange construction area have expressed worry over the state of the project, with others skeptical over government's promise of completion by September this year. Well, this $135 million project anticipated to reduce gridlock at the Ring Road West could not meet the 2023 deadline due to a lot of reasons, including financial constraint. Now, this has left road users frustrated and inconvenienced. My colleague Awisi Dede Jange visited the area and has filed this report.
Last year, 2019, I was here to cut the sword for the commencement of work for the construction of the Obechebi-Lamte interchange. Today, a little over a year ago from that momentous event, I'm happy to be back here to commission the first phase of the Obechebi-Lamte interchange, which has been completed 5 months ahead of schedule.
More than 3 years, the Obechebi-Lamte interchange construction project, which is intended to reduce traffic congestion on the Ring Road and its immediate environs, seems to be stalling. Coupled with the heavy rains recently, the road is almost unmotorable as potholes and clogged waters are visible everywhere around the construction site.
Now, like Ofri, I seke ba. Sa awudo mi said one Ofri on moba. So to not as when I say, Oben say Casino, or Muntimi unko. Movie when we say traffic and achieve
last in so far me tie Korean one me kokocheren e fa tie kasio in so far ni free money be ni mu say Korean one me kochera chese nyanyame a nka nso e de ne koe in fact nso de to a ekwan nyina yiri kanko kama intin sesen de say omso mo ye kwan dia omonhwe ntia ni susu se ron be ya ma ahotode adan aba na enso yetimanya kwan so ahwe aye adwuma na emom no de ehia me kese pa me kan se mfitiase no a oma me hwe no omomomodin say ombeba.
A visit to the site saw field men standing idle with little to no work being done. The project, which commenced in February 2021, was expected to be completed by March 2023, but was halted, then later faced intermittent setbacks until March 2024, when the then Minister of Works and Housing, Francis Asensio-Boakye, assured of completion by September 2024. This, some motorists have expressed skepticism over.
Slow. Tembia obaba no so moye djuma so hu ba bia moye djuma no pote no.
So ndie to a ekwan nyina yiri kanko kama.
As more rains are expected to come, with barely 4 months left for completion, will the Obechebi-Lamte interchange be completed before the September 2024 deadline? Or Ghanaians should brace themselves for another delay? For GHOne News, Awisi Dede Jange, Accra.
The desire for seeking greener pastures abroad, widely known as Japa, seems to be on the ascendancy, with many young people ready and willing to travel at all costs, regardless of the consequences. While that their desire to relocate for better living and working conditions has brought about brain drain, affecting several factors of the economy. Now, GHOne News' Selassie Podo takes a look at the insatiable desire of the youth to travel overseas for greener pastures.
Thousands of youth crowd visa application centers every day to obtain a visa that will enable them travel overseas to seek greener pastures, as some of them don't have any hope in getting a better life in Ghana. The Abelenke VFS Center is not an exception, as lots of young people troop to the visa application center, waiting in queues to be attended to. Zuleha Suleiman, a University of Ghana graduate in her early 20s, tells me she has been making efforts to leave the country since she completed school last year. She feels Ghana cannot support her dreams and the kind of lifestyle she wants to live. Hence her aspiration to leave the country.
This is my second trial as an applying to move out. I don't think the lifestyle I want to live and the luxury lifestyle I want to live, I don't think I'll get it here, even if I work.
Charles Asari Tutu is a visa application officer at Wakanao, a travel agency, who shared some insights on the intense desire of the youth to travel. He said the number of applicants have increased significantly this year, with majority of the applicants being young people.
The majority of them probably seeking, greener pastures. But you have genuine ones who actually want to have their experience, go have their vacations, honeymoons, and other stuffs.
Although the increase in the number of applicants has positively affected their business, working with first-time applicants has always been problematic. Charles has therefore advised the youth to do adequate research before traveling abroad, so they do not get stranded when they arrive in foreign countries.
Do your research properly before you travel to any country you want to go to. Because the fact that you hear about people saying move to this place, move to that place, you have to do your research properly. Because there are a lot of people who are stuck. They want to come back home. You get it, but they can't.
As of October 2023, over 10,000 teachers and nurses in the country had immigrated to developed countries. This brain drain has been described as worrying by both the National Teaching Council and the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association due to the adverse impact on the education and health sectors respectively. But how far would one go to get out of Ghana? We asked a number of people on the streets of Accra, and this is what they had to say.
I'm willing to do anything I can just to go. It doesn't matter what it costs. I've seen so many people traveling and making it within like a year or two, so why not? I have to try.
If you check the expenses that you make here and the income that you are making, it's like you are doing hand to mouth. If I go within even a year or maybe 2 years, I will even make it a lot.
The state of the country right now,
if I stay here to play my football, I don't think I'll progress. So I'm hoping to travel outside so that I can establish the goals that I want to establish for myself.
While many people encourage the youth to chase their dreams, stakeholders believe it is time for government and other political actors to take decisive steps in order to turn around the fortunes of this country, to reduce the rate at which the youth travel out of Ghana or japa out of the country. Reporting for GHOne News, my name is Selassie Kodo.
Let's do business now. In business this evening, members of the Locked Up Investments Forum have vowed to rescind their decision to picket weekly at the Finance Ministry to demand revocation of license of some financial institutions over insolvency. The group today returned resumed their picket at the Finance Ministry as they accused Deputy Finance Minister Stephen Amoah for failing to honor the promise made to them. They are demanding the release of their locked up funds and revocation of licenses of some insolvent institutions. While speaking to the media after meeting with the representatives of the Finance Ministry, lead convener of the locked up fund investment holders, Dr. Ananienji, said they will picket weekly at the ministry until their demands are met.
In the camera, we were told that we want the ministry want to have a meeting. The three of us went to. We met two officials. I don't know their designation, but I know them, two officials. And what they told them was that the deputy minister is not there, the minister is not there. But they have been told that when the deputy minister has traveled, the deputy minister has traveled again, he is not available. The minister is also not available. But the deputy minister has promised again that when he comes back, you have a meeting with us. I said, that's fine. Our picketing is every Wednesday. So if something positive happens, maybe a Tuesday before the Wednesday and something positive happens, you can just inform the police we are not picketing. But if nothing has happened, we are coming here every Wednesday.
The Ministry for Lands and Natural Resources has disclosed that the government is finding ways of exploring framework for treating critical issues such as value-added tax on exploration. Well, according to the Minister for Forests and Lands, Samuel Abujinapo, when the frameworks are properly constructed, it will reduce the financial burden on exploration company. There are more details in this report.
The 17th West African Mining and Power Conference and Exhibition, WAMPOC or WAMPEX, is to collaborate and create synergies in the mining and energy sectors of West Africa to drive sustainable development for Africa. Speaking at the opening ceremony of the three-day conference, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abujinapo, said the government, together with the Chamber of Mines and GRA, will review the frameworks to treat critical issues such as value-added tax.
Recognizing the importance of exploration as the lifeblood of mining, we are promoting investment in exploration to uncover new mineral reserves and sustain the long-term viability of our mining industry. We are, for example, working with the Ghana Revenue Authority and the Ghana Chamber of Mines under the guidance of government's economic management team to explore the best framework for treating critical inputs such as value-added tax VAT on exploration. If properly structured, it will reduce the financial burden on exploration companies, making it more attractive to invest in exploration while safeguarding the nation's interests.
Guest speaker, Odenehon Ochre Kusi Ntrama, the Benkum Hene of Asanteman, who spoke on the theme, the mining and power hub, driving sustainable investment opportunities in West Africa, said, power is expensive, hence leaders in the power sector should use the opportunity to bring power into West Africa.
Power is expensive, and without it, we cannot melt, we cannot smelt. And I hear we've put up a refinery, and this is going to take lots of energy to be able to do that. So people in the power sector, look for these opportunities and bring more power into West Africa and connect the grid that if Ghana is down, Burkina Faso should be able to produce, Cote d'Ivoire should be able to produce, Niger should be able to produce with plutonium or uranium in their nuclear plants.
The president of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Michael Edem Akafia, explains that Africa has no choice but to embrace sustainable development principles as they navigate the complexities of the mining industry. That wraps up the business segment. We are back with more stories after this break. Award-winning reggae artist and dancehall musician and also the TGMA reigning Artist of the Year Stonebwoy has urged fellow musicians to freely express themselves in any language they choose in their music career.
Yeah, music on its own is a universal language, so everybody is really well allowed to express themselves in whatever language that they can use to make the music, and that has never been a barrier, you know. When people can understand what you're saying, it's nice. But interestingly, lately, it's easy to translate languages, you know. So it's, to me, I don't think language on its own is a barrier, because music is very powerful more than that, so it's all right. You know, I support anybody who uses any form of language that you can actually.
That's it for the news broadcast this evening. Thank you so much for your time. For more news updates, log on to starfm.com.gh. I am Tutuwaa Danso. Have a good evening.